Welcome, everybody, to Dive Bar of DeMOCKracy. That's M-O-C-K. It's Friday night, and we're doing it right. We're going to have 3 topics tonight. Typically. Got you there. We're going to have 1 topic tonight, but you'll be excited to find out what it is, but we have no idea who our host or hostess will be, so we're going to go ahead and do things the only way we know how to do them. And that's the fuck 'em fam way. Y'all ready to smash the fash and meet the gang? Oh, shit. How's it going out there in Radio Land? How's it going out there? It's Friday night, officially. And boy, what a week has it been. You know, it's almost like they're things that you already expect at this point, so nothing really is a surprise. But what we are finding out is, elections have consequences. And I think before we get into tonight's big topic, let's reach into the chopper hopper and find out who our host or hostess is going to be. Can I get a drum roll, please? Oh shit, it is Farmly. Erica, welcome. Well, looks like you are our hostess for tonight. And, well, I think it's time to go ahead and just show the crowd what we were talking about by one big topic. And that, my friends, is the time that I go ahead and turn it over to our hostess. What is our our topic tonight?
Mutually agreeing upon. But you know how everybody is, this is obviously Thanksgiving weekend here in the States. So we're seeing a bunch of fuck around, find out Republicans being disinvited to Thanksgiving meals with their family because the way they voted. So we are going to be doing in the chat, and probably what Skip is going to be streaming here in just a moment, is a FAFO bingo card. Woo!
Because boy, has it been plentiful. The leopards have been feasting, safe to say.
Right.
All face on the menu.
And there's always just been this thing around Thanksgiving is do we or do we not talk about politics? And let's see if we can get into a food fight afterward. So, I think this FAFO bingo card is apropos for this weekend.
Well, I mean, seeing as there's so many people who have, I imagine that let's go ahead and go through each topic and run the gamut, shall we? So, to our hostess, B1.
So this says Latinos for Trump stressing about mass deportations.
Well, if that's not been one of the biggest FAFO stories that I've seen lately.
It truly is, because at least here in California, we have a very high concentration of undocumented workers, and California provides 13% of the nation's agriculture here, and there have been water wars in this state for a few decades here. So, quite simply saying that there's just a lot of tension right now in California. So, I just think there's a lot. And then there was this one person I remember seeing on a CNN clip where he's wearing a Trump hat and he owns a Mexican restaurant, and he's Oh, but he only wanted to deport the criminals.
The criminals, quote unquote, because they're certainly going to take time to disseminate who the criminals are when they want a white ethno state, right?
Right.
But
so there's that.
So as far as that's concerned, for me, that square, it's all the Latino men who, because of machismo, decided they needed to go with Trump because the whole strongman thing is appealing to a certain kind of person. And, well, that's another reason for that card for FAFO.
I don't need any more cheese. I've had enough cheese. Thank you very much.
So do we want to go down or across?
I think that we can go ahead and leave that to
I think we should
your discretion.
Go across because it's a little easier to follow.
All right, I won.
So I won. Anti-choice women who had abortions in the past. So I chalk this up to Republican women mostly because, like, there have been people in Trump's echo chamber who have had multiple
Yep.
mistresses, and they get pregnant, and they're just like, I will pay you X amount of dollars to get rid of it. And then what's good for us is only good for us, but not for you.
Mark Robinson is a great example.
And so it's just kind of like one of those things. It's just like, what do we do? Like, why? The thing is that we don't want to execute white babies. Republicans don't want to execute white babies.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely their idea is an experiment in eugenics. What were you saying, Terp?
Oh, I just said Herschel Walker was another prime example.
Yeah. Whatever happened to good old Herschel? I think he didn't get any biscuits in the same way that Tim Scott got no biscuits, and in the same way Byron Donalds got no biscuits.
Well, it's funny you should say that. There's actually quite a good list of people who are like that. You know, it's not just the luminaries of the party who have had those kind of abortions and things. You had the finance chair that was a big pal of Donald, Elliot Broidy, who was mired in a bunch of financial scandals, and that apparently didn't cause him to resign. But when it became clear that he'd paid somebody to have an abortion once or twice, that's when he had to step down. And I would say if we scanned the leadership cast of the party, we're going to find a bunch of people who have done that. Let's not forget Jason Miller, the portly PR guy, who wasn't just a big fan of abortions when he was cheating on his wife with multiple partners and hookers. He was also slipping the abortifacts into their drinks.
Oh, yeah, dude. That dude is such trash.
What a vile, despicable individual that is. I don't think there's a more reprehensible character. And it's a big list of bad people on the Trump side.
But I guarantee
that
he'd
guy
be the
really
same.
Takes the biscuit.
Yeah, I guarantee he'd be the same kind of person, though, that like would turn somebody in for having an abortion in Texas.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
Completely.
Yeah, not nice people. Not nice people at all. I don't know how like people can shake hands with that guy on a regular daily basis without putting their hand in some kind of sterilization equipment.
They managed to with Roger Stone.
Oh.
How can they continue to just ignore reality? Like, I think the news came out this week. Another woman has died in Texas of a preventable care.
And the shit kicker of it all, Tony, is that they are refusing to even mention it in their reporting. Like, it is abhorrent to think that, oh, you know, people say all lives matter. Bullshit. Like, you only think that white lives matter. This person that you're talking to was a person of color. So like it just begs to, you know, think you tend to think it's just like, oh, they're just racist. It's like they underreport these numbers because they don't want it. They don't want the brevity of their decision to, you know, leak out into the world, and that sucks. So,
well, not to mention it's a piece of compromise that can always be used on them, especially by the Republican Party.
There is a guy called Scott Lloyd. He is the head of the Office of Refugee Resettlement. Basically, if they were actually resettling refugees in the States, he would be the guy who'd be providing them with medical assistance, financial support, and everything else. He is anti-abortion. He is actually trying to make that part of the policy now, that even when they get these refugees in and resettle them, they are going to make sure that they don't get access to abortion services if they need it. So force them to carry the child. The irony of this one is Mr. Lloyd has had persuaded partners to go and have abortions in the past. Another wonderful hypocrite in the Republican circles.
There seems to be no shortage of them. Let's move to N1, shall we?
They can't cut my SSRI.
Yes, can't.
No, SSI. Okay, sorry. They can't
cut it.
So there's this big, huge push in Project 2025 to get rid of Social Security and just any kind of like social safety net for seniors and or disability. To be honest, they want to cut it all. And that isn't going to be feasible because we pay into the system. If we pay into the system, I demand that I get my money at the end when I'm old enough to get it, you know. And they want to get the retirement age up to 2 years to 67 instead of 65. And I'm like, why do you want to cut? And then also they want to privatize Social Security too, and that's the worst thing that you could possibly do to speculative markets.
Well, and they fell for Trump's lies when he said there was going to be no tax on Social Security, and of course there's not going to be a tax on Social Security if it's not fucking there.
As with the tax on overtime.
Ah, yes. Let's not forget about that little bait and switch.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I haven't actually scanned through my eyes. My eyesight's really bad again, but I'm sure that'd be in there somewhere.
It's a great cynical Republican ploy who water down the benefits in healthcare, but raise the retirement age. So what we have at the top end is life expectancy goes down, retirement age goes up, and if they keep bringing these two together, they won't have to pay out a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be dying before you can retire.
I have to at least give the Republican senators credit in the fact that they put Thune in there instead of Rick Scott, who straight up wanted to sunset Medicare and Social Security. I even did a video on it.
Skull of the Senate.
Skeletor.
And I'm gonna mention what Judy just said in the chat. Mention AARP is a Medicare Advantage insurance middleman.
Yep.
Again, is the whole insurance scheme like middlemaning it because of ACA and they're trying to use that as an excuse? Yes, but it's also because they're just pulling more money in the middle.
Well, they can't take my SSI. All right, G1.
getting no bonuses because the compensation is preparing for tariffs. So basically, there are some companies, manufacturing companies, that have slashed their Christmas bonuses. Or not even given the Christmas bonuses due to the fact that they have to order 1 to 2 years worth of goods to make their products. So basically, they have to like use everything at their disposal in their profit margin, and basically that's what's happening there. And then like there was one company specifically, I think maybe in Indiana. Don't quote me on that.
I think it's Pennsylvania.
Like, they said that they're, or Pennsylvania, one or the other. It's one of the states on the East Coast. But nonetheless, they said that they said directly to the people that it's because of Trump's tariffs that they are cutting Christmas bonuses, and they're just like, what? I didn't know that. And I'm like,
this is what you voted for, dog.
Oblivious morons that voted for Trump are finally finding out.
I'm afraid that, I mean, how many times did we present facts only to get the laugh react back? We could not do anything to break the spell, and unfortunately, they're going to have to touch the hot stove. I see. It says SSI is a different program than Social Security or SSDI. SSI is for those without work credits. Well, it's good to make that clarification for those out there in Radio Land. What were you saying, Terp?
No, I said before. I just said leopard, a face meat leopard.
They are feasting. There's.
We may be saying that a lot tonight.
There are no emaciated leopards right now. All right.
No.
01.
But he promised to stop the wars in Gaza and Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
One city.
I love the
Dearborn,
squeaky voice
Michigan.
you used there, Erica.
Dearborn, exactly. Yes, Dearborn.
Dearborn. Y'all, we told you so. And I hate to say this. The uncommitted people drive me absolutely insane. They do not understand nuance. It's like one of the things that really gets to me in this election cycle is that you guys set such a high standard for your candidates that you don't even want to work with them. It's like a purity test for you. What else do you want to do? Like, with the circumstances that you're handed, come on, guys. We have to fight the fash, and we have to have a coalition to do so. And if you just go completely far left, you become the far right, like, in terms of...
How many times did we try to warn them that they were just going to take the complete Gaza and West Bank and just put Trump casinos there? How many times did we warn them?
Then you see Mike Huckabee not referring to Gaza as Palestine, and then he's just like overshadowing like very right, very like evangelical Christianism. It's just yeah, he wants to refer them to as Judea, a city within Israel.
Yeah, they want to take it back to biblical terms.
Yeah, it's biblical. Just like...
I think Huckabee...
Go ahead, John.
Mike Huckabee's going to turn up in Gaza or in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem wearing like a full suit of body armor with a big red cross on it.
No, that's going to be Pete Hegseth with his Deus Volt tattoo. Like
Crusaders.
Mm-hmm,
yes.
Yeah, they all want to be neo Crusaders. What were you saying? Was you saying something, Tony?
Sorry, Tony.
Yeah, I was gonna say So what's up with the Russian ruble crashing? It's well below $1 now. It's like 113 rubles to a US dollar right now. At least it was yesterday or right before Thanksgiving. So wait, so they're owned by Russia, but Russia's not worth anything. So it's just compromise.
It's compromise and Bitcoin. Everything's paid through Bitcoin. What they what my theory is, this is my dark theory, is they're going to try to do what they can to trash the United States government to the point, and the economy to the point where I suppose the euro just decouples from using the US dollar if they start supporting Putin using only Bitcoin, and then making it so people in the US will only be able to pay with Bitcoin with Elon Musk's weird Neuralink chip.
It would be even funnier though.
If
Russia's currency devalues to the point where they can't pay the bribes anymore, it's going to be really funny. And so instead of them bribing other people will be bribing them for less. So pretty soon, the value of the ruble is going to devalue so much, someone's going to be able to buy Vladimir Putin and make the war stop that way.
I think, again, it falls under them mocking themselves, where we don't have to, you can't even mock them. Is they pulled the old Austin Power, Dr. Evil, I'm going to charge you $1 million. And they did that to Google and charged them a literal gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
And now the ruble worth nothing, it's worth $1 million. And Google's like, huh? Well, we don't care.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, they'll be able to call them up and say, Vladimir, here's $20. This can fix your entire economy at current exchange rates.
Here's a hundo. Okay. Don't spend it all in one place.
With this, I can buy 1 million tanks.
Made of cheese. All right. Are we ready for B2?
Yes. You can't end us over politics. Well,
fuck, I can't.
Let's see. Exactly. So
it's not politics, it's morality.
I've been noticing a trend on the good old YouTubes, the tubes of you, saying like, Trump supporters are finding out the egregious consequences of his of his presidency after the fact he voted for him.
Yes.
And so it's just like, so people are finally waking up here. And so we could possibly end you over politics, because there's going to be a big, large coalition of people after this election saying, what the fuck is happening to our country? Like, it's just that.
There will be like finger pointing to start with. Various groups will point fingers at each other, and then it will grow beyond finger pointing. But I think it's off to a good start, where lots of these dummies were disinvited to Thanksgiving on political grounds. They are not welcome. There's no reason to give thanks when somebody's just voted for a clown to trash your country. So let's not invite them for food. Don't break bread with people you don't like and don't trust.
Yeah, you don't get a pass if you're a fascist or a fuckwit.
Yeah, I don't care. Here's the thing. It's morality. It's not politics. You saw exactly who he was and what he said he would do, and you were like, cool. I have a problem with that.
Donald made Banana Republic promises to Banana Republic voters, and that's how he got in.
And now
they sure as hell ended Matt Gaetz's career.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we're getting close. We got a nice little. The Republicans have about the majority in the House right now.
2 seats.
Yeah.
It's shrinking.
They were in the pool.
2 seats.
Really cold.
I hear those words too often.
All right, let's move on to I2.
Your body, my choice.
Mm-hmm.
I just have a person to say about this. Nick fucking Fuentes. This little incel son of a bitch goes on the day after the election and laughs it up and says, ha 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 ha, it's always been your body, my choice.
And
what
now
in the actual fuck, dude? And then now
he has to run to his mama and hide in the basement.
That little punk ran scared of women. Like,
to a
He's
woman.
never seen one. He doesn't know what to do with one. Come on.
He ran to a
He
woman.
hasn't seen one. He's never been near one.
The last time he saw a vagina in real life was when he fell out of one.
Exactly.
But that's all I have to say about that.
Maybe when he was sitting researching all that gay porn he got caught viewing.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was trans porn, actually.
Maybe he was sitting there muttering that to himself as he was going. Like,
He just beating and going, Christ is king, Christ is king.
Your body, my choice. Your body, my choice. Your body, my choice.
What a weirdo. Like, and now he goes and runs to his mama because he got doxxed. Typical. I love it.
And they're going to dox his mama now.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, it was insane.
N3.
But yeah, not getting OT pay because OT has been eliminated. Well, no shit, Sherlock. It says it in Project 2025, and he's had appointed 4 architects of the fucking Project 2025 to his cabinet.
But he didn't know anything about that. Come on, didn't you know that?
Right. It's a complete obliviousness to and it just ticks me off even more.
Fucking bait and switch.
I'm waiting for the FAFO at work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There were 2 things that came up, right? One was the possibility of abolishing overtime pay if it comes to pass. But remember also, paradoxically, what he promised was to get rid of the tax on overtime pay. So the jury's out on which one of these things will actually come to pass. He did that as an election pledge, and he's not very good at keeping those election pledges, but that was one of the things that he promised. So
you can't tax income that you eliminate.
They're mad also because they're seeing him put people like Marco Rubio in his cabinet, and they're like, you're putting neocons in, you said you wouldn't. Like, every move he's made has not only pissed off the left but also pissed off his base. The only thing that they've liked is Pete Hegseth. That's the only choice that they've been like, well, hell yeah. I guess maybe Tulsi because they love Russia.
Interestingly, Hegseth has been described not just by serving members of the Department of Defense and various branches of the military as being unqualified for the role that he now has to assume, but even the politicians like Tammy Duckworth who've served have said he's not worth it. There's no way he should be doing it. And I think she passed similar comments on Gabbard. I think she's been more strident in her remarks about Gabbard not being able to assume that role.
Just because you've been in combat doesn't mean you know how to plan supply lines and logistics for the entire Department of Defense.
They just like Pete Hegseth because they hate marching bands.
Yeah, they're like, man, the way he hit that drummer with that axe, that's our dude right there.
Oh, I hate marching bands too, so I'm with him on that one. I just have everything else against.
Okay, you finally say you have something in common with the right. All right.
Well, I'm not going to go, that's for sure.
That was N3, correct?
Yeah.
All right, so G3
is eggs over women's reproductive rights. Basically IVF, egg storage kind of stuff going on, and IVF, a part of Project 2025, would be banned. So it's quite simply this is just, I think that I have a personal connection to IVF through my sister, and without that process, I wouldn't have had nephew or nephews, actually, because she's expecting her second. So quite simply this, don't mess with reproductive rights and stay out of my fucking medical office. I don't need you. Women deserve that privacy. And it literally goes against everything that the Constitution stands for. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's in the preamble of the Constitution, you fuckwits.
Yeah, people are concerned about eggs, but not lady eggs.
That part.
I like the way you phrased that. Eggs over women's rights instead of eggs over easy. It was very nicely done.
Chicken eggs
it's a serious,
over lady eggs, apparently.
I'm not trying to trivialize it.
No, I'm saying apparently that's the new American dogma.
They need to keep their nose out. They need to keep their nose out of necessary medication. They need to keep their nose out of reproductive rights, and they sure as hell should be keeping their nose out of the abortion debate.
Absolutely. At least when they say, let's take it to the states, fucking states vote the way that they vote when they either do a referendum or they don't.
And
7
watch
states
out,
have
because
referenda.
the nationwide
7 of those states
ban,
voted to keep it.
Yeah,
watch out, the nationwide abortion ban is on the table. And people don't know about that yet, and yet they play complete obliviousness, and they're MAGA chuds vote against their best interest all the time, and it drives me absolutely batshit crazy. Why?
I think what we should do is, Erica, I think it would be helpful for everyone if they had a trial period for Republicans only, with a nationwide abortion ban. For all those people who voted Republican, have that ban.
Mm-hmm.
See if it works first before you inflict it on the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
You want it so badly, you can have it.
Same with the tariffs. Fuck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Every time you go into a hospital to demand medical care, they can say, first of all, are you a Republican or someone else? They say someone else, all the healthcare options. Republican? Well, there's a room you can go die in. That'd be perfect.
That's what you voted for.
That's what you voted for.
They always say that the states are the laboratories for democracy, so why don't, they can do it their way in their own states and see how it works out for them.
Yeah, just back that refrigerated truck to the door beside the room that they're all going to die in. No problem.
Absolutely. All right, let's go ahead.
Like I was saying before we went on...
Go ahead.
Sorry. What we were saying before we went on air is just like... Oh, dang. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, my gosh.
Sorry.
That actually was what we were talking about before we went on air.
It's been a long couple weeks here.
So before we move on, this one kind of...
I remember.
Go ahead, Erica.
California, what California can do, because Newsom, after the holidays on December 2nd, is having an emergency session of the state. Both houses are meeting December 2nd. Our state Senate and our Assembly are meeting to combat Trumpism. And I think what would be incumbent of California in their best interest to keep their GDP as high as it is and the 5th largest economy in the world is to seriously make deals with Canada and Mexico that reduces their tariff costs, whereas other states would have to negotiate with the two countries. If they border Canada or Mexico, I think that would be really incumbent for people to do. But I don't know if that's legal. I'm not a constitutional scholar or anything, but
I'm not sure if they can just become a major distribution hub just out of nowhere for the entire nation more than they already do, just out of nowhere. What were you saying, Tony?
That was going to be the one thing I was going to bring up too, is Newsom or California. This topic kind of wraps up the 3 that we've covered already. This one and 2 others that cover women's rights and reproductive rights and everything like that. And in different forms, because each version, will affect different women in a different way or the same way, because it all fucking causes death. But the other thing is, one of the topics that we had talked about probably last year, in general, as far as political landscape, and this was well before the primaries, was women traveling from state to state for healthcare. And that's when the Republicans went, wait, we're not going to let them do that. And then they started passing these laws to just arrest women whenever they find it. And it rolls into these topics of preventing them for even traveling, no matter what the reason.
Yeah, preventing travel is just a completely unconstitutional thing.
So now, not only are you going to get pulled over, DWP, driving while pregnant.
I'm telling you, it's I mean,
driving while female.
They are as these laws become more prevalent, more legislation and better lawyers are coming forward to fight them. As the only thing is if it goes up to Supreme Court, it's the fucking Supreme Court. What can you do? Let's go ahead and go to 04. What do we got?
It's 05.
Okay, 05.
Yeah, it's you liberals ain't very tolerant. Well, here's my take on this. First and foremost, I'm intolerant to intolerance. There are a few things that I do refuse to tolerate, and that is racism, bigotry, homophobia, xenophobia, and all the other phobias that MAGA chuds have, because they're insecure about themselves. So seriously, get secure with yourselves first before you come at us and saying, you liberals aren't very tolerant. Because we've tolerated you for 10 freaking years with your damn echo chambers. You say calling us libtards for first and foremost. You're mixing a very, very negative connotation, the R word, okay, I don't like to say it, with a liberal, and you're associating it with both. And that's unforgivable for me.
Well, for me, it's you don't get to be the victim and the villain at the same time. Choose a side.
That part.
Choose a side.
That's just not my opinion.
Like, I know that you want to be persecuted to the point that it should be classified as BDSM, but okay, the tolerant left is down the hall. Eat a dick.
And then, like, the one thing that ticks me off is that I used to have so much more respect for Mika and Joe.
Oh, no. Fuck MSNBC. We're done with that trash.
And then they went to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the teat of Donald Trump.
You're done with that trash.
I'm done with MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I can't do it anymore. Because, quite simply, this is that you are becoming intolerant of the things that you used to be able to tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Hashtag turn that trash off. All right, let's go to...
Mainstream media is driving me nuts.
B3.
White men whining because racism?
So I saw they were giving reparations for white people now. That's pretty cool.
White men, the persecuted class.
How?
Because
reparations for what?
For anybody who was apparently a victim of DEI hiring practices in colleges.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Take as long as you want to chew on that.
Elon Musk is going to use that as the reason to get rid of Vivek Ramaswamy from the Department of Government Efficiency. When everything else fails, he's going to play the race card. He's going to say, this guy wouldn't even be here if you weren't encouraging diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Is he going to replace him with Ann Coulter?
Bye-bye, Vivek.
Man, she said that
incidentally,
straight to his face, and he just took it.
Did you catch that other thing that happened to him this week? He was bemoaning the fact that America was at the mercy of unelected bureaucrats, and then somebody pointed out that he was one.
Did he say, well, that's different?
Well,
One of those silent moments, you know.
They would replace Vivek with Ann Coulter, but she's a woman.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That in itself is a DEI hire.
Yep.
Plus, I mean, I'm not sure if they wanted to keep a farrier around the White House at all times.
Ooh, handbag moment there.
Do you remember the roast of Rob Lowe and Ann Coulter was a roaster? And like everyone ganged up on her, and like especially Pete Davidson. Like I just think of it that way. It was just like people would be like on a panel to roast Ann Coulter. Just her alone.
I remember reading the letters to Ann Coulter from the Henry Rollins show.
It was Rob Lowe's roast where they laid into Ann Coulter.
Was
it
it?
turned into a roast of Ann Coulter instead of a roast of Rob Lowe.
We might have to watch that on Viper TV.
Look up the roast of Rob Lowe.
We might have to do some content.
It's worth
really
it,
good.
trust me.
I think it's one of the
You'll go
best
through
roasts.
a gallon of popcorn watching that stuff. It is oh yeah, good, more. Yeah, okay, say more. Yes.
That's fantastic.
It was beautiful.
All right, what's our next space?
My child's special ed program has been cut. Well, Project 2025 wants to dissolve the Department of Education. So there goes your IEPs. There goes any kind of special therapies your child might need to, acclimate to society after they're done with the rudimentary education. It is, we told you so. We told you so. And now you're going to have to pay extra for your medical insurance to get those therapies that social work was supposed to pay for.
But Trump was going to lower costs.
You're all going to have to pay for it anyway.
Mm-hmm. He was going to lower costs, I thought, though.
He's going to lower costs to billionaires.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All for
That
them,
tax
but
break
not
is
us.
already being planned.
It's just ridiculous, the amount of
dumb shit that these people voted for.
Uneducated people here.
Yeah, I mean, they
There is
voted
a
for this
severe
trash.
disparity in education in America, and I think it's designed that way for a good reason. And all the Republican people that have been president have advocated to make cuts to education. Like Bush made cuts to education, Reagan did. It wasn't all that great, Our education system isn't all that great here in America. Truly. If you go to places like Japan or places like Germany, for instance, they have incredible public education that is paid for. And you have different tracks that you can go to. I know at least, Skip, you can kind of talk on this, is just they have like a Hepterschule, which is like, I believe, a trade school. And then like you can either do a trade school or an actual like research university track after you finish your rudimentary education. We don't have that kind of system here in America. We just don't. And like, if you have a special ed and special needs child, those IEPs are so incredible for your medical, to go back to your doctor and say, hey, this is what's happening with our child. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, the Department of Education being eliminated is going to, like you said, especially with the IEPs, there are just so many people who really voted against their own interest. And I think there's a thing, though, because if the masses, and I do mean the masses, like as in left and right, who are getting screwed simultaneously, both realize they're getting screwed because of this, then there could actually be pushback. Because think of it like the scars and the hyenas. I mean, Scar and the hyenas, like the idea that you promised one thing and then completely pulled the wool over the eyes of, for lack of better words, a cult, unless they really have the ability to cognitively pray away what's going on in their pockets, they're going to turn on him.
I agree. I 100% agree with that, because there will be parents that go to these school board meetings all across the nation and just start working to institute IEP reform or take it away completely. Or there will be some people that say, oh, book bans are more important than your child's IEP. I'm like, what war do you want to fight here? Like, let's go. So, like, school board meetings are going to get very, very interesting in the next 4 years.
Well, especially if both red and blue are being like, we are both screwed together. So that will certainly be interesting, wouldn't it? All right, our free space. All right, I think for our free space, everybody should take a drink. Cheers.
Let's take another one.
Take a drink, take a rip, do whatever it is you got to do, because it's Friday night and we're doing it right on Dive Bar of DeMOCKracy.
Is that Steve Bannon in the free space? Oh, no way.
I thought it was Cat Turd.
Best Steve Bannon face.
He gets his mail delivered to the swim up bar at the Mirage.
The next square says, "Where's my VA benefits?"
Well, Vivek and Elon want to take those away.
They'll take it away. It's just like Calgon, take me away.
Yes, exactly. They're like, they love us veterans when we're wallpaper for their campaigns, but when it comes time to actually take care of us, they don't give a rat's ass.
It's a dollar value. It's a budget to be cut. That's what they do it for.
I know many, many people that have come back from 4, maybe 6 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan that desperately need their mental health benefits through the VA. And I wouldn't personally feel comfortable having a commander-in-chief that said you guys are suckers or losers. And you have to remember that Republican veterans that voted for Trump. Remember what he called you guys. And you guys didn't take that seriously or believe them. Like, you got to take them for face value. You got to take these Republicans for face value. If they say something, they mean it. And he means what he speaks of.
Yeah, they're not gonna.
He thinks you are a sucker and a loser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not going to fulfill any promise except for a promise of tax cuts for the wealthy. That's it.
And where are they going to pay for all these tax cuts? By cutting services to the needy and the most vulnerable of our country. And it makes no sense at all. It doesn't. And the one thing that just drives me nuts is that also this idiot goes to Arlington and basically goes to, I think it's section 60 or something like that. And he takes pictures of people in front of tombstones of the fallen, where that area was completely not accessible for political posts.
Oh yeah, it falls into don't let him get away with anything. He could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and they would still appreciate it. Like, that's where we're at.
They'd still buy his NFTs and his fucking gold. They'd still buy his fucking steaks and they'd still buy his Trump brand vodka. They're fucking idiots.
Well,
and then it goes to. Sorry.
It's the closest he's been to a war is standing beside a dead veteran. Yes, we'll say that.
And then, like, it goes to the 005 section. The next square says it isn't personal. And I'm like, bullshit, it isn't. It is. It's personal to me. Like, everything that this current incoming administration stands for, I vehemently oppose. Because, seriously, it's personal to me. I'm a woman. My rights as a woman here in the United States are 10 times less than a man's.
And a gun.
Let's pause for a moment to think about the ninth. I think it's the 19th Amendment for women's suffrage. How much blood was spewed there, and just women that were battle tested to get our rights, all for it to be wiped away close to 100 years later.
Well,
yeah, I was actually talking about with some family today about how we're going to go back and we're refighting all these battles. We're refighting Roe versus Wade and women's rights. We're refighting religion in schools, which I thought was over in the 20s, the 1920s, not the 2020s.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to refight all these battles because these idiots have taken us back in time.
Yeah.
Is it that they've taken us back in time, or is it they've just basically failed a basic education and haven't learned the lessons? In which case, at some point we should be saying to them, just because you haven't learned shit doesn't mean to say that we have to stop and explain it to you again.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to live like 100 years ago, you'll die like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, is it kitchen table to some of these people because they're incels, so they ain't laying with anybody. So this family talk doesn't apply to them.
No. If they could have a fleshlight attachment for their AR-15, perhaps, but they're going
to be comfortable with that.
It's
just
not
remember,
even
comfortable with that.
That's made in China, so tariffs are going to hit on that.
Don't give them any ideas. What's our next one?
Shout out to the. Before we move on to the next one, I want to shout out everyone in the chat.
All right, cool.
Judy,
go for
Amethyst,
it.
Derek, Dusty, Blue is in here in the Discord, swinging by for a minute. So shout out to Blue. Derek brings up a good thing before we move on. We need to point the fight to the real enemy, the oligarchs and corporations. So now we're just going to call them the GOP, the geriatric oligarch pedophile.
Yeah, they're gaslighting oligarchic pedos.
Wow.
Yeah, I take things personal when you take away my rights. So that's basically that,
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, what? But it's not personal. I'm like, bullshit. You voted for Trump over the economy, but you voted to strip your wife's rights away.
Oh,
it shows how much you really care about family, you dopers. Come on.
If you voted Trump for the economy, you voted to fuck the economy.
Yeah, you did. Plain and simple.
As a rich person, you voted for the tax cuts to fuck the economy for everyone else.
But the good thing is he's got a short attention span.
And voted for him. Well, you're just fucking stupid.
Mm-hmm. That would lead us to our next space. What would that be?
Under his eye, next lesson in school.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of think back to the state of Oklahoma.
Exactly. They're calling out teachers that criticize them teaching out of the Trump Bible.
Right, and they bought Trump Bibles for every single classroom in the state, and they're saying if you refuse to teach this, you don't get any state funding. Or they kind of just dangle it as kind of like, a tit for tat. And I don't know if it's a tit for tat, but like, if you do this for us, we'll do that for you, kind of thing. And like, it's just ridiculous. Like, what are we going to have Trump Bibles in every freaking classroom in America? That's where it's headed, because the state of Louisiana has, they want to post the 10 Commandments in their classroom, but I think a judge said no to that. And they want to go that far as placing 10 Commandments in the classroom. Well, here's the thing. If you are a tax-paying citizen of the United States, number one, you have the express right to have the separation of church and state. And not every kid in your child's class is going to be Christian. You will have people of Jewish descent, people of Muslim descent, people of Buddhist descent, and all the other religions in the world. And quite simply this, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to teach Trump Bible lessons in my child's class because of the separation of church and state.
Well, especially and now they're targeting teachers that criticize it in Oklahoma. But Oklahoma, Texas, and Florida have always been the sort of laboratories of authoritarianism, if you will.
Yeah.
They're like, let's try this horrible law. All right, it didn't pass through. Let's tweak it a little bit.
I saw TYT's Rebel HQ covering the Oklahoma story today, and they had pulled some video from some Trump rallies during the election going, so you're for the Christian nationalism, you're for this, and then roll it right into the Bible stuff. And not once did they mention that it was a Trump Bible that they decided to put in those schools.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to debate it and normalize it in the sense of, yeah, but this is going to be for more of educational purposes, and this is what's in this book.
Always move the fucking goalposts the moment you call them out.
Except the first classes, and they said, oh, it's going to be scholarly educationally. Like, okay, fine. You're talking religious scholar, college-educated people, or maybe high school kids? No, the first classes they've already agreed that they're going to put it in, K-5.
Of course. Indoctrination.
They're trying to get the order in before the tariffs kick in. Otherwise, instead of it being $3 million, it's going to be $5 million.
Well, they need to boost the ruble so Russia can order a bunch of those and call it money laundering. And then
again, there's TYT, and there's more normalization of this fucking fascist bullshit.
Yeah, I think
you just have to call out.
The literal indoctrination of children into religion at an early age without any consent is this is where Hitler would literally say, we don't have to worry about you parents, we already have your youth. And that's why they were able to get their kids to turn their fucking parents in.
This goes back to what we talked about last week, where we remember the bill? They could remove the tax-exempt status of churches if they don't agree with them. This goes back to that. It's controlling the religious institutions, just like he's controlling the schools by saying, hey, not only do you have to teach religion, you have to teach my version of the religion.
Yep.
And it's going to be the same with the churches.
That moves us on to our next space. Go ahead.
Oh, hey, do you love that you're Trump worshiping church? And they'll be like, our church doesn't worship Trump. It's like, they will soon, because
if they want to keep their tax exempt status and not be labeled a fucking terrorist group.
Yes, they will.
We can workshop that one. I like that. Do you love your Trump worshiping church?
Yeah.
And then it leads us to the next I2. I2, fourth one down is government jobs are wiped for efficiency. They want to wipe all the jobs so they make it more chaotic. Like, once stuff goes to shit, that's when they'll actually try to, quote unquote, they like to fuck it up first so that they can say, ooh, we fixed it. it's all about us. It's all about me. And I'm like, no, you cut that you cut that.
Well, also breaking it just to be like, look, it doesn't function. We got to get rid of it. Look, it's shit.
It's bad. Let's give it to a private company. Let that private company run it. Give it to Terp Corp.
That's what it's all about. Like, seriously, like, oh, we're gonna just basically give it to private entities.
That's a great comment in the chat from Amethyst. Says, since the 2008 Republican recession, private firms have been buying up housing stock and turning everything into rentals, and usually doing that whole weird gentrification thing where they make them look like a modern McDonald's.
I agree. Everything is so like gray and drab lately at those homes that they buy up too. Yeah. They look all alike. That they have the same gray schematic. They're like projects
for rich people. That's what they are. They're like projects for people that actually can afford to live in gentrified neighborhoods that were once the subject of government assistance.
Yeah, but look on the bright side, they did do something about the smell of cat pee.
I want to waterboard Roger Stone with cat pee on pay-per-view.
He would enjoy it. He would enjoy it.
He would.
Next square. Says...
Moving on.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, what was our next square?
Mina, I don't know what exactly MENA stands for, but Muslim community shocked.
Yeah, it's Dearborn once more.
Okay, Dearborn again. So basically, here's the thing: is just it boils down to 100% misogyny in this point, because a part of the Muslim culture is that, and this is known throughout historical fact, is after the Arab Spring 73 kind of stuff, I think in the 70s, that's when women in Iran were forced to wear like full coverings of their face. And it goes without saying, is just like how quickly of a 180 that whole culture did to women back in the 70s, and it goes for today. And a lot of, and I hate to say, I don't like to get into religious politics at all, but they couldn't vote for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't.
It's true.
There's deep rooted misogyny within certain cultures. And wow, it just kind of takes my breath away. It's just
for those guys, wasn't it true that they sat and ate up a bunch of Muslims for Trump propaganda that said that Trump was going to fix the Gaza situation?
Yeah, we've already mentioned that.
But that they then turned around. The head of the Muslims for Trump was a guy called Chowdhury, who's in Philadelphia somewhere. And he turned around and he says, "Oh, well, we feel cheated. We never thought that he was going to appoint Mike Huckabee to be the ambassador to Israel." Really? You never thought that was going to happen?
No. I believe the words that were on the front of the Dearborn newspaper were, "We feel we got played." If I'm not mistaken, that was the exact, I suppose, headline quote from the headline.
I've got a couple of bridges I want to sell them.
What was that term?
Go for it.
No, just repeating my soundboard grab. Face meat leopard again.
Oh, yes. Once more, no emaciated leopards in the present situation.
I need to put Terp on the soundboard just saying face eat leopard.
Yeah,
I think just put your button.
Perhaps.
You wouldn't need me otherwise today.
Face eat leopard. Face eat leopard. Face leopard.
I mean,
And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbor.
talk about someone who got the leopards ate his face. God damn. Rudy Giuliani also has been a victim of the leopards. No biscuits for Rudy. No appointment. I'm telling you.
Yeah, he didn't get anything,
Nope,
did he?
he didn't. The only thing they got was defamation suits, and that's about it. All right, what's our next? Go ahead.
So
That's how they.
it kind
That's how they play into the getting Trump getting away with everything. Is you tell them we told you so, and they go, yeah, but there's 50 other things that Trump hasn't done wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
40, 50 things that he has, and you're just like, oh my god.
No, it's a cult. They're gonna have to learn the hard way. Go ahead, Erica.
And then this goes without saying. I think the last square and this square takes the cake. Is just like, then they Googled after the election, can I change my vote?
Because there's a lot of uneducated people who voted because they wanted to vote for the WrestleMania guy to own the libs. And then they read about their lib friends basically being like, bet, cool, enjoy the tariffs. We're going to have to enjoy it too, but at least we know we didn't vote for it. And they started getting paranoid because we weren't like, it wasn't there was some, obviously there was the gnashing and wailing of teeth of losing and how important this election was, but also the fact that, you know, when it came to them bragging that they owned us, we're like, bet, go ahead, you're gonna get what you wanted. Cool. And I think that has them Googling, how do I change my vote? Like, fuck, like they're not like triggered as I want them to be. They're more, I suppose, wistful than anything.
Yeah, and then the next square says, how has my union job been eliminated? Well, the whole Republican Party since the 80s have been all about union busting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I work in the entertainment industry, and everything that we do is underneath union work. You know, anything from production design to script writing to acting, you know, to get that product onto the screen, you employ union work. And if you don't, then you get like slapped in our industry. You know. And so I think this goes without saying is that with Project 2025, they want to eliminate all unions. They want to eliminate every single worker protection that exists. And without the unions, we wouldn't have a 40-hour work week, guys. Like, really think
proper
about
insurance benefits.
Right. And workers' compensation programs in case you get injured at work or something along that lines. They want to eliminate it all. They do. And as for someone who worked in retail lifting heavy boxes, you know, if you get your back injured due to some malfeasance or another, you won't be able to get protected because those workers' compensation rights have been completely eliminated. And then you have to work an additional 10 to 15 hours a week, making a 40-hour work week into an 80-hour work week without overtime. And like, it's just, I just wish people would truly understand that. But they don't.
Well, I mean, overtimes they're going to try to eliminate it anyway. So, you know, I mean, this is going to be the time when unions have to genuinely try to be strong because, I mean, Biden walked the picket line. I don't see Trump walking the picket line.
He will never do that.
Staged fucking.
He did the opposite. He was hiring fake union workers
in shop, for God's sake.
Yeah, he'd probably hire like the goon squad on him.
He walked the picnic line.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Okay.
I don't get how any union worker voted for him, knowing that he wouldn't use actual union workers at his rallies.
I mean, and he faked the other one. What's our next space, Erica?
Wow, really? Over politics? Yeah, well, a lot of people are reevaluating friendships, family, because they voted for MAGA. And, you know, this is a part of their fuck around, find out. Quite simply, this is just like, it goes without saying, it's just like, I want to protect my peace. That's
I completely get it.
as simple as it gets.
I mean, people, you know, once more, that one square, it's not politics, it's morality. And yes, over politics, if you want to call it that.
And then, like, the next square is kind of, it correlates and stuff like that. But no black jobs for black MAGA because DEI. It's just like, you see the streams of pictures of his appointees, and I think only one person is a person of color, and that's for HUD.
Yeah, and
just
it's for
like
HUD.
what Ben Carson was in his first administration.
The
And,
only
like,
black
you
person
see-
in the entire cabinet is for HUD.
Yeah, and it's just, at this point, what the hell, dude? Like, like Byron Donald, I think it was Byron Donalds was on CNN. Is just like, he kind of was put on the spot about that kind of question, and he just got shut down. But that's it.
No biscuits
that's
for
about
Byron, no biscuits for Tim.
Indeed. And then,
May they.
what did you say, Terry?
I just said, may they find out the hard way.
Yep. And then the next square says, why is my wife bleeding out in the parking lot? Well, it's about because doctors are afraid to perform DNIs. I think DNCs. Sorry. They're called DNCs.
DNCs.
Sorry, it's not DNI. Sorry. That's national intelligence.
I was like,
But DNCs are so important to medical procedures, and it baffles me why we can't just keep things private between myself and my doctor. I don't need the government to sign off on my pregnancy or my miscarriage post-care. Really? This is what we're coming down to. We're having women having to fly to blue states that have legal abortion so that they don't die of sepsis.
Idaho has
How
life flights,
fucking cool is
literal helicopter crews.
And then the state of Idaho, like what you were saying, like all the OBGYN doctors are leaving the state. In California, made it so that if you are a doctor in Arizona, they have a partnership where if you come to California, you won't get penalized for providing care to your patients. It's getting to that point, guys. At what point does a woman's life matter? Because we obviously, to the GOP, we're just fucking incubators to everybody.
Apparently the religious right like to refer to women as the life host. Isn't that a nice term?
You're just a vessel.
Exactly. What was that, Chirp?
The birthing vessel.
Yeah, the birthing vessel. That was it. I'm sorry. I was being a little more dystopian. I was just saying what they actually meant. Next square.
At what point I mean, and then this says, I like the ACA, but hate Obamacare. It's the same thing, you dillweeds. Get it together.
And when you see honest to God interviews with MAGA, there's so many people who said they voted against Obamacare because they thought that it was for black people and that white people got the ACA. So their racism is what actually ended up making them lose their insurance. Now, if that's not a fuck around and find out scenario, I truly don't know what is.
That's crazy. And then, like, they're going to just gut the pre-existing conditions.
Oh, I saw a good racism one today that they didn't recognize. Is they were trying to compare us telling them that the tariffs and everything is going to ruin them, and them deporting a bunch of brown people is going to ruin the crops and everything like that. And they were trying to compare it to people that were against for slavery, using that same excuse.
Abolitionists?
Yeah, of using slaves as the crop for the crops. And then that's the same excuse. Gee. Like, yeah, keep digging.
Well, like, no matter what, it's a hero bot situation. They always have to, be the good guy, no matter what the scenario is. And if you point out any inconsistencies in their use of religion as a cudgel as well, then you're just quote unquote taking it out of context.
Yeah, because if they really believed that those people were being enslaved, the migrant workers, they should want to free them and treat them well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like shit, beat them up and throw them out of the country.
Oh no, it's just all bad faith shit, and you should never engage with it. You should just be like, you think you're slick, but you're not. Enjoy the tariffs, and that should just be about all you say to them. What's our next space?
The last and final space.
The last and final space.
Google. Excellent. We got through this pretty quickly. I'm very impressed. Google tariffs after the election. Well, these people that voted for Trump actually had to go onto the Google machine and type in, what are tariffs? Tariffs are by us, the consumer, as an added tax to get the products to your store. It is a very, very simple process. And if you go back and rewatch Ferris Bueller, you can get a tariff lesson by the Ben Stein.
Exactly.
And to preface, he is a conservative. He worked for the Nixon administration, being a speechwriter for him. So quite simply, if you want to learn from a conservative, go watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh, for those who slept through class, a 25% tariff on our 3 biggest trading partners isn't going to lower our prices. I'm sorry, MAGA. I'm sorry. But you have reached the end of the fuck around and find out bingo card.
There's a bumper sticker that says something of the like of, you just now Googled tariffs after the election with a question mark. I want that bumper sticker for my car now.
Well, I'd like to say that this was able to provide us with a little bit of levity due to the oncoming situation. But I'd like to think also that, our representatives in the House, in the minority that can run a filibuster in the Senate, let's see what they can make happen. Do we have any questions from the chat?
Shout out again to the chat for being there. BZ popped in, and we are going back and forth on being able to purchase houses and rent control and stuff like that. The chat kind of is going through its own chat. So shout out to everybody, and yes, thank everybody for being civil. And civil enough out there. But anybody have any questions, go ahead and put them in there. Judy says, did you see the video of Diane Russell showing the changes that happened to the dress code over the last 30 years? It's scary.
What's that?
And I think it goes into what we were somewhere we were talking about earlier, is when we talk about the Middle East or Iran and stuff like that.
The Arab Spring
Is after Arab Spring and before that, women dressed normally like what we're used to seeing in the West.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's
70s,
become, and now that it's become more religious doctrine and led government is hiding.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions from the chat. So I do have to say that I want to thank everybody for joining us for episode 30 of Dive Bar of Democracy. We almost have an entire month's worth of dive bars. So as the time rolls on and you want to go back and visit some of the old episodes with your favorite Discord miscreants and see how we've been able to advance the show from when we first started, we're almost up to a full month's worth of episodes now. So thank you everybody who's not just been in the crowd, but also thanks to everybody who's been on the show. And man, if you give a good goddamn about your democracy, you just got to make sure to catch Tony Michaels every single day. And well, until then, we'll see you crazy kids later.